Hey everyone, thanks for listening to another episode of AI CX Innovators. Today I'm speaking with Emma. She's Global VP of Customer Experience at Notion. Emma, thanks so much for chatting with me today.
Ashish, thanks so much for having me. I look forward to the conversation.
So let me introduce Emma to the audience. Emma is the Global Vice President of Customer Experience at Notion, where she leads the company's global CX strategy with a strong focus on operational excellence and innovation. Known for being an early adopter of AI and a champion of delightful user experiences, Emma designs and scales programs that drive customer satisfaction. With over 14 years of leadership experience, Emma has built and transformed high performing diverse teams across Europe, Asia, and the US. Prior to joining Notion, she served as head of customer experience and growth at Lob and previously held leadership roles in luxury hospitality and concierge services with brands like St. Regis, Cartier, and UBS. She's fluent in French, English, and German. She brings a global perspective to customer experience, blending her background in hospitality with cutting edge tech practices to deliver world class service at scale. Really excited for this conversation. Thanks, Emma, for again for taking out the time here.
Thank you, Ashish. What an intro. You make me sound a lot fancier than I am.
No, it is like what a wonderful, background combining e-commerce, luxury, now technology. Anything which I missed? Anything which you would double click on?
I think you've mentioned plenty. I think I like I like that you mentioned the global element, which has really been the most fun for me.
Wonderful. So maybe if you can talk to the audience a little bit about what's your current role, what are some of the current, to the extent you could share, challenges and goals for your organization. If you had a magic wand, what are the 3 to 5 things which your organization is looking to achieve over the next foreseeable future? And anything you can share about the nature of customer experience delivery and customer experience management at Notion in terms of what kind of organization, globally placed, size of anything which you can share. So let's start with that here.
I guess I start with the nature of my job today and what I'm doing at Notion. I've been with Notion for over 4 years now. I think I joined when we were a little team off of Alabama Street in an overheated office, and now we are, I think, over 1,000, and we just moved to beautiful offices in Soma. I joined to very much lead the customer experience and figure out how we wanted to build it and scale it for the foreseeable future. And so it's looked very different over the years. I think we arrived in a flat organization and then we built based on, the product we wanted to build and the customers we wanted to service and attract. And so our organization have been able to evolve just as our user base and our product has evolved. Today, customer experience at Notion, it means obviously your typical support, which is anything but typical at Notion. And we actually service every single customer. So if you're a Notion user, if you're even someone that is considering using Notion, you can get in touch with us however you'd like, whether it's through, our help center, whether it's through our AI chatbot that is really cool, and whether it's talking to someone that can help you figure something out. So we really don't discriminate. Whoever you are, if you're a student, if you're a top enterprise customer, if you want to talk to someone, we'll talk to you. Absolutely. That's
I
our
did not
goal.
realize that. That's really cool. Typically, SaaS companies don't have, there's often like platinum, gold, silver, and then rest of the population in terms
Right,
of, yeah,
right.
very
Yeah,
cool.
we're definitely not operating like Amex. We want everybody to feel super comfortable asking questions. We're here to unblock you. Support CX, it exists because there's a gap in the product or because something didn't work the way you wanted or because you need a little bit extra help to figure out how to achieve your goal on the platform. And we want to make sure we're here to help you figure that out. So
Mhm.
Notion has always wanted to be, transparent, available to all. That's very much our motto. I'm very lucky to work at a company where support has never been a cost center. Even when I was hired, it was like, that's not what we want to do. We want it to always be a delightful experience for all. And that's what we've been cultivating through many, many things that I'm happy to dig into. Um,
Wonderful. Yeah. So let's talk about that. Like, what as you look at the last 4 years, and then maybe some of the biggest challenges which you helped overcome, and looking forward, what are some of the goals which your teams have in terms of customer experience delivery?
yeah, I think what's amazing about Notion is that it's highly customizable, right? It's a collaborative tool for everyone. You can plan your trips with your friends for your bachelorette party, or you can actually run your company on it, or you can run your search for a job. It's so customizable and adaptable for any use case. That also means that we attract a wide array of customers, right? Our user base is a bunch of different SKUs, a bunch of different buyer persona, a bunch of different people that are looking to use the tool a different way. And that means that we have to design experiences from, from all the way from our digital experiences to our high touch customer success. We have to design experiences that really meet the customer where they're at. What do they need? When do they need it? And what channels do they want to use? And we want to make sure that we provide support and we accompany them in a timely manner with the most delightful experience we can provide.
That's really interesting because from I'm assuming based on what you said, the service reps, the teams who are enabling them or catering to these customers, they have to be trained in so many things. They have to be able to answer questions. I'm assuming about using Notion to build a website, or running a company, or doing a certain other workflow.
Yeah, that's true. I think what's interesting about CX in most companies as well as marketing, I want to say, is that you are here to design experiences for all of the customers. Success is going to focus on our enterprise customer, and our AEs, they're gonna focus on sales, on contrastive customer. But then you have CX, we have to focus on everybody. And so we have to build teams and build processes and install tools that are going to scale with all of our customers. So I think I wouldn't call it a challenge, but I would call it like a great opportunity. And then second, I would say Notion is very special in the sense that we have 80% of our user base outside of the United States. It means we're a very, very global company with our top 5 markets being all across the globe. And that also means languages, different cultures, different markets, different teams, to make sure that we are servicing the customer in the way that they want to be serviced.
I did not realize that 80% outside of the US. That wow, interesting. And switching gears, talking about AI and CX, this podcast is about AI and CX. Talk to us about how you have thought about it over the last 4 years and going forward, adopting AI in customer experience delivery. As you have gone through the journey, what problems have you folks attacked? Any biggest misconceptions which you feel? Because it's all over LinkedIn or news these days that generative AI will transform customer service. As a leader in the weeds of it, what are some of the biggest misconceptions you feel almost, right? People have about AI adoption in CX. And before we go into misconceptions, you can talk about like what your journey has been like. What were some problems which you thought were good fits for attacking with that?
I think to address this one, I would take a step back and say that, you know, customer service has always had some sort of self-service element, right? Chatbot have existed for years. I think like 10 years ago when you were trying to get a refund or find your luggage with your airline, you were talking to a chatbot with some weird three choices and you weren't getting anywhere. So I think customer support and customer like experience has always been sort of like ahead of their time and trying to use solution to automate and try to build these solutions at scale. Now, what happened with Gen AI, I think it was 2, 3 years ago, it sort of like came out not of nowhere. We've seen it happen, but then all of a sudden we have a tool that can read sentiment, that can understand exactly where you're trying to go, that can help you route, that can figure out an issue, that can be integrated with all of your other tools and actually automate a lot of the issues, questions, tickets that you had to have a human solve before, right? That doesn't take away the human, but we can talk about that a little later. So I think like that has been a super interesting trajectory for us. And at Notion specifically, being an AI first company, I think we were very quick to jump on it, but also just be thoughtful about building a solution that will help our user with the tool and that will help making their life easier, right? Whether it's through the writer that we launch first, or whether it's through note taking, meeting summary, like all of the obvious use cases we launched pretty early on, and that has been a game changer. Now, when you look only at CX, what's been particularly interesting for this space is that the use case was so obvious, right? The use case is obvious. You use it for this. You have tickets. You have repeatable questions that you can train an AI to answer. Let's go, let's do it. And so for I think probably the first time ever, CX has been the leader in AI,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
CX has always been, and support specifically has always been sort of like, sitting under product, sitting under revenue. And it's like, handle issues, troubleshoot, be reactive, and do your best. And all of a sudden it was like, okay, well, we have a great use case and we can actually be proactive, we can be innovative, and we can lead the transformations. I think that's what's been so exciting in this space for everyone and for me particularly. So we were very quick to implement Gen AI within our solution. And the way we think about it, really, it's we're no longer a reactive organization. We're no longer trying to, on the tail end of what the customer wants and when they already stuck. We have a lot of data, right? We run a voice of the customer program. We understand where they get stuck, what they're trying to accomplish, how they feel about the product, how they feel about the service. We have lots of data around, what page you spend the most time on, like what's hard with building a database. And we can use all of that data to create a lot of material, self-service material or proactive material that we can surface for them. And so for us, that has been, you know, such a revolution. At first, we used, like everybody, AI to answer a question. We were never about deflecting. We were always about giving you the answer as fast as we can. If you don't need to talk to us, we won't make you. We'll just make sure that you have it. That was always the motto. And then it moved to, okay, well, why don't we figure out what you need before you have to ask for it? And why don't we design an experience through our product and our support product and our marketing lifecycle to ensure that we get to you before you even have to ask? And that's the beauty of CX, of Gen AI for CX today, I think.
No, this is you hit the nail on the head, and there's so much to unpack there. This idea of proactive versus reactive CX, we see this a lot when we talk to customers, experience leaders like yourself. By the time there's an escalation, it's too late. By the time there is a bad customer experience, of course, it's too late. So, how can we be ahead of it? And there are so many areas where we can pick up early signals. And we talk a lot about using GenAI for intelligence and automation. A lot of times, the spotlight is on the automation part, which is the bots and AI agents, which is really powerful. But the intelligence part is also pretty interesting. You mentioned a couple of things, if you don't mind, Emma, me double clicking on, is this idea of being proactive on marketing programs and other programs. I know Notion has such a strong technology and product culture and a strong customer centricity culture. Is the customer experience data and all these insights, which you mentioned the VOC program, is it being used by other functions like product and marketing and other functions to be like, hey, what's the pulse? What can we learn from this? How can we improve our overall operations and product offering and so on? Any thoughts there? Yeah.
Absolutely. We have a voice of the customer program that spans across many organizations at Notion. So CX obviously owns a huge part of it because we have more data and we go through all of the tickets, all of the social impressions, everything that we can get, and then our bug reports and our feature requests. So we have all of that data. And then you accumulate to that all of the data you get from sales conversation, all the data you get from success conversation, and all of the data you get from user research. And that gives you a really good picture of what the customer want, what they don't want, what they are enjoying today, what they would like to see more of. And so we run these programs. I think it's pretty robust, and we ensure that there is always a voice, the voice of the customer, that is present in product development. So there is a loop. It's a loop. That's what we, yeah, and we ensure that that voice is heard, and it's always within, executive conversation when we're thinking about what we're building next. There is what we're trying to build, our vision for the product, and there is what our customer wants. And if we're lucky, it's the same thing. And sometimes we have to figure out how to merge both.
Does the VOC program sit in marketing org or product org or customer experience org? We have seen all variations. I'm just curious because our listeners often ask us this, like what's the right way to organize a VOC program, for example? Yeah.
Yeah, I think you should have an owner. So we definitely own a huge chunk of it in CX and we make sure that it runs that way. That being said, it can be in only one organization because the data comes from many different sources. So what I'm get asked about it when I advise company how to get started, I mean, get someone that's passionate about it, that's analytical, that understands how to read through data and summarize it and present it, and then get them to run it, but they can't run it in one function. They're going to have to work cross-functionally to gather all of those information.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense. How do you, on this AI topic, I know you mentioned we'll come to this point. How do you think about striking that balance between human or human agents or human service reps or delivering service versus AI agents or bots delivering service? How do you think about striking that balance? That's perhaps the hottest topic these days of like, hey, should we do all automation or all human touch? Or how would a leader like you think about that balance? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think of AI as a tool to help us enhance the human experience. It's not taking over. It does something very different, or it helps us organize our system and our processes a bit better, right? So obviously now you can see that repeatable tasks, easy questions, or what you would call your tier one or your tier zero essentially, can be handled by AI now. But what this means, though, is that you can focus your human resources on adding value to every single interaction. And you can also offer a much more interesting job to your human resources, right? You don't have to repeat something 100,000 times, and you can focus on the product expertise and you can focus on the specialization. Billing is something that every company is dealing with, and we can actually train people in solving the issues and bringing value, feature requests, all of that things that we can just have a system actually take the information, and then we get back to people when we have someone to say that will add value, right? And so I think it's been an interesting shift in the market, and we've seen a lot of flashy headlines around we cut 70% of our. So, I mean, if that's the goal, great. If you're trying to save on cost, great. I think we're taking the thoughtful approach of solving for the user experience. And if you want an answer immediately, if we can provide that to you, we'll do that. If you want to talk to someone, we'll do that too. Right. And so I think naturally we see that the volume of requests handled by AI is growing and growing and growing. That happens. But then the quality of requests that are handled by humans is also much higher. And from building an organization and leading people and developing talents, this has been super interesting for me because we've been able to upskill and we've been able to bring new topics, new specialization, new career progression. We've created new roles around content creation and conversation design. And so all of those didn't exist before. And so we've been able to evolve our teammates around the team and ensure that they actually have interesting jobs to do.
Yeah. No, that's a definitely we should cover that topic. You mentioned something really interesting. It's not just that you're seeing growth in the AI bots, you're also seeing growth in the human traffic. So it's almost you're seeing increase in overall engagement, which is what a brand is looking for in a to create, loyal customers, retain customers, and so on. And it's just a matter of what is right for a certain query type or certain conversation. Switching gears, talking about human touch. You come from a luxury goods background. It's the ultimate in human touch, right? How does your experience, how does that part of your career inform some of this thinking, and how do you approach customer experience design now? Talk to us a little bit about that. Yeah.
You're right. I did work in luxury hospitality for a long time and in luxury conciergerie. And so everything is about a very white glove, high touch approach. And it has to be customized and tailored to whoever you're talking to. I think that's the biggest thing to think about when someone is spending a lot of money for a service or for a room or for anything. You want to make sure that the experience they're having is highly personalized. So I think I've brought that in every single experience that I've had after. And it translates in the digital experience as well as the low touch and high touch today, which is, are we solving the issue that the customer is asking about, and how are we solving it for this person specifically, right? So do we understand who they are, how they're trying to use the app, or are they trying to use the tool, and are we answering that question understanding the full picture? Because it needs to be tailored to what they need. You can't just be a blanket answer. So I think that has been my guiding light always. And then we do have some enterprise customers. We have top enterprise customer, and they get a very specific experience with us. They get dedicated agent, dedicated engineers to their account that understand deeply their use case and what they're trying to accomplish. So it really is sprinkled everywhere. But I think I'll finish by saying that I've started to treat AI as an everyday luxury now.
Right.
It's it
It's an
is
everyday luxury.
it
Yeah.
it is a luxury. It is something you can use to make everyone's life easier, and so whether it's for support or just you, like you're looking for something, you're trying to get started on a document, you're revising your strategy, whatever that is, you're translating something, it's just so easy and it makes your life so much easier. And so introducing this concept of using AI to, make your life more luxurious because time is luxury and AI makes you save time, right? And so I think that has been my motto the whole time.
Man, we're getting some really amazing one-liners out of this. This is great. No, it is everyday luxury. Like, I cannot imagine my life without one of these tools at this point, one of these AI agents at this point on a day-to-day basis. It has become, I'm sure all you share, it's an everyday luxury. We can't imagine these days. Yeah. Switching gears, we talked about your unique experience managing multiculturally and in different geographies. Any differences you see in technology adoption, approach to customer experience? Because we are, as businesses build multicultural teams, European teams, Asian teams. Also, the fact that Notion has 80% of the business outside, you mentioned the US. Any insights from there on managing global customer experiences?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I would say I don't see major differences in technology adoption because we are a tech company, we're an AI company. And so I think people who join us have that experience or are learning that experience on the go and they have that innovative mindset. So I wouldn't say huge difference there, but just generally managing global teams, there is cultural differences and there is differences in how you approach customer experience with an user, right? And so what's been interesting for me is really to take a step back and listen. And so the way I've thought about it is bringing in amazing leaders in each region. I mean, we started with amazing ICs and then we built up to having amazing leaders that are from the region, that live in the region and that are able to advise on the best way to approach all of our strategies. So we always have one overarching global strategy that is highly customized based on the region. And that's how we've always operated. We have several ways of handling the same issue based on where we are.
Yeah, and I'm assuming you guys have regional teams managing customer experience in key geographies, right? Like probably have a hub in Europe, a hub in Asia or something. Yeah.
Yes, we have a hub in Dublin, a hub in Tokyo, in Seoul. We have a hub in Hyderabad. We have a hub in obviously San Francisco and New York. So we have teams in Greece. So we're really building
And
a
never sleep. This is
team.
24/7.
Never sleep. We never sleep. Well, we have a 24/7 follow the sun model with that. So all of our teams are English speaking and they also speak another language, which is really fun for recruitment purposes, but has been very helpful for our customer experience. And yeah, so we're really able to meet the customer with their needs and in their language, in their time zone.
What is one use case of AI where which you think most customer experience leaders miss, right? We talk a lot about automation. I think you mentioned voice of the customer. I would put my vote for something like that. Anything else which comes to your mind where you feel it's less talked about? Maybe folks don't miss, but it's less talked about, but you feel is a strong superpower for you?
Yeah, for
Your
sure.
secret weapon.
For sure. I mean, you mentioned the two obvious use case that are like, the AI chatbot, and then you have AI for summarizing or synthesizing data and insights. The third one, which is probably the most basic use case, is knowledge management. It's basic, but it's really hard to do actually because you need to have all of your knowledge in one place or in several places with a tool like Notion that can help you figure it out. I mean, I'm a Notion super fan. I'm using Notion for everything. And so having one source of truth when you can query information from your Slack, from your Notion, from other sources, and as well as the World Wide Web, and be able to have a full picture to answer a question or figure something out is invaluable. And I think right now there is a need to have the focus on that knowledge management piece, right? Like you need to have your all of your knowledge in one place. You need to document things. You need to make like the AI needs to get that information somewhere. And so I get asked this a lot actually, like what you hire for first. Obviously, hire agents, hire someone to build your tool, hire Stratton operations for sure, but then hire someone to write and document your content. That is one of the most important roles today. Make sure your content is in the right place, that it's accurate, that it's updated often so that you can just be more efficient. The amount of time you save just by having everything up to date in one place is incredible.
Maybe the last question then, Emma, for us is, you mentioned, we'll end on a human note, which is, you mentioned the investments in the team, right? The amazing programs, and how are you creating career ladders for the team, upskilling the team, creating a sense of excitement, purpose, and energy in your teams? Talk to us a little bit about that, because I totally believe that's a huge part of the equation. As we are in this AI frenzy, there's a huge human component to that, and I think you guys have an incredible strategy there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there is many different parts of CX today, right? At Notion itself, we have what we call direct support, which is all of our teams across the globe that are focused on ticket handling and, accompanying our customers and making them successful, essentially. But then you have all of these new functions around program management and tools and systems, right? And so it's always existing in a way, like you have a ticketing system or any sort of insights software that you need to run. But now you have a lot of data to go through and you have a lot of content to write. So, in terms of
Yeah.
our teams, when you look at those new functions that we've been able to create to feed AI or to just, you know, continue innovating and evolving with AI, it's been very interesting to be able to upskill people, to help them run into these new positions, to create entirely new functions around our learning and content and around how we get ready for launches. And so there is so many ways to evolve within CX. I think you can start from handling tickets and then you move into a specialization and then you move into maybe enterprise support that is like a highest level of support. And then you can actually move over to program development and start writing a bunch of content, or you can start evolving as a manager. Like there's so many different avenues to take, and that's just within CX. Then you can also move over to product operations or product. We've had so many successful graduation out of CX of our dearest team members that moved into marketing, that moved into social media management because they
This is a
were
great advertisement for Notion CX.
yeah,
Like, I
no, I
would love
mean,
to join the team. Let's
We've
go.
we've had graduation into engineering, into trust and safety, into product operations, into product point, which is probably the
The hardest
sexiest
job.
from CX. So we've seen it all, and I think now that we're a much more strategic function and that we have access to so many different tools, including Gen AI, we've been able to upskill and really bring in amazing talents that are learning so many valuable skills that they can take anywhere else.
Maybe I'll ask you a follow-up question. First of all, like, that's incredible, and it kind of makes sense based on what you said in the beginning, that your CX is so broad-based. It could be so many different use cases. So somebody who's an expert at all of that would be an incredible product person eventually, or would be great writing content, or, like, positioning and so on. So how do you hire for these folks, right? Like, what's that machine look like, right? Because it's high growth, but also you're maybe often hiring for many people. Any hiring tips for folks who are in such environments?
Yeah, I think Notion is very special in the sense that we have a pretty high bar for hiring, and we've maintained talent density, sorry, for really long time. We've been a lean team doing a lot of things, and that has its pros and cons. I'll say that. But we've ramped up most recently, but we're still very intentional about the people we bring in and the job we want done, right? And so we've been hiring for people that are curious, that are innovative, and that are extremely customer centric. And so I think like if you have those few things, if you want to help, if you always want to solve problems, and in customer experience specifically, you want to do it in a delightful way, you'll find a place at Notion. Now on the product side, I think it's very, very similar. If you want to build a product that the customer will love and you want to make sure you hear their feedback and continue to bring solutions that are innovative, I think Notion is the place for you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Emma. Really appreciate your time, and I think people will really enjoy this conversation.
Thank you, Ashish. It was lovely to be able to talk about some of these things. I hope that was helpful, and talk to you soon.
Thank you.